Hello once again, everybody. We're at the Farm Bureau's annual meeting in Columbus, and I have the pleasure of visiting with an old friend, or maybe I should say a friend for a long time, because I'm older than Joe Cornely standing beside me. Joe, first of all, I want to congratulate you on an honor that you received recently, being inducted into the Hardin County Ag Hall of Fame.
It was a humbling experience. It tickled me to death that you, Gary, personally could be there because you're right, we go a long way back. And when the folks back home feel it's appropriate to recognize you, it's pretty special.
It is. There were some I think about half the people in there I knew from the time that I'd worked there, of course, being from Hardin County. But some farm broadcasters came back besides myself, and that had to make you happy.
You know, Hardin County, if you look at it, I can't think of a county in Ohio that's had more success at generating farm broadcasters. Ron Powers was at WKTN. You and I both worked for Ron. He went on to a radio station, WRFD in Columbus. You were at KTN. I was at KTN. And so, it's quite a legacy of farm broadcasting that's come out of our county.
It is. And over the years, I can tell the audience I've been so proud of what Joe has accomplished. A city boy, nonetheless, in the ag. Was it Bob Miller at WLW that helped you understand how important agriculture was?
Well, you're right. If you call Kenton being a city boy, but like you, my family's roots are in farming, and so I was around it my entire life. But I guess what I learned from Bob was not to appreciate the importance of agriculture, but to communicate that to the non-farm public, because you're absolutely right. When I worked for Bob, it was at WLW in Cincinnati, and an awful lot of people listened to that radio station that didn't understand agriculture. And so I did learn from Bob the importance of translating what we talk about in the farm community into something that the consumer can understand and appreciate, and maybe most importantly recognize why it matters to them.
Well, you had a comment or two that really stood out to me the other evening, telling farmers that it's up to them to help tell their own story.
Well, they count on folks like you and me to help do that, and that's an appropriate role and one we're privileged to fill. But I do a lot of media relations in my current job at Ohio Farm Bureau, and reporters, they don't want to talk to a paid mouthpiece. They would much rather talk to a farmer who's doing things to protect Lake Erie's water quality, a farmer who's doing things to make sure that her animals are well cared for on the farm. So, it's that authentic voice. Now, you and I both know that a lot of farmers are reluctant to do that, and if we can offer a little bit of encouragement to step up and either do it when there's a microphone in front of them or do it online and social media, it's going to go a long way.
Well, I started telling how proud I am of Joe. Now, Joe got really involved with the National Association of Farm Broadcasting, and with that, from visiting with farm broadcasters in Ohio, but being actively involved with farm broadcasters all over the United States, and in fact holding the position of president of the National Association of Farm Broadcasting. Joe, in that responsibility, you had a chance to visit with national and even some international leaders all around the world.
It was quite an opportunity. I guess maybe one of the scoops I remember the most, Dan Glickman had just been announced as the designate to become Secretary of Agriculture. And as you know, in the world of politics, when that happens, they go radio silent. I happened to be at a Farm Bureau meeting in Washington, D.C. I look up, and you were there, and I look up, and here comes Dan Glickman leaving just a Kansas Farm Bureau meeting. So I just had my microphone and recorder in my hand, and he said, "I don't really have time. My wife's waiting on me." I said, "That's all right. I'll walk with you." So that was kind of a scoop, getting the first interview with the gentleman that soon became a pretty popular Secretary of Agriculture.
If you were talking to some young people right now thinking about getting into farm broadcasting, what would you tell them?
I would say get some experience. You're going to probably have to start in a smaller market. That's fine. You will learn a lot. I would suggest, I wish I had a better background when I went to college. I wish I would have studied more political science. I wish I would have studied more economics, because those are extremely important issues when you want to advocate for agriculture. So get some background there, and then find a mentor. You and I both know the value of finding somebody who's in the business and has the opportunity and the willingness to kind of, bring you along. Those would be some great steps to take.
We've been visiting with Joe Cornely, a great farm broadcaster, but more importantly, just a good man and a good friend. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate the opportunity.
And stay with us, back with more right after this.